Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant. I'm a life coach, speaker, and believer in the boundless power within every one of us. Each week, we're diving into raw, transformative conversations that not only spark healing, but growth and unshakable clarity. Because you know what? Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard, and your purpose is waiting to be fully lived. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where I have Josiah in the house today. Frazier, I'm going to tell you, outside of the millions of downloads and people that follow him for his jazzy little snappy videos, which I'm addicted to, I'm thrilled to have him in the house today because number one, he doesn't say yes very often, but he did today. He's uber intelligent. He's uber expansive. And I don't even use the word Uber. Where did that come from? But we're going to roll
Better
with
than
it.
Lyft, I guess,
Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh, look at how clever he is. I didn't even get that. I got it. But he's not only I said mental health advocate. It said humanist, but I said humorist because everything he does
Mhm.
lights me up. He's a traveler, he's a creator. He holds expansive space for people. He's authentic, and I am thrilled to welcome Josiah today. Hey,
It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
yeah. Oh, and I didn't mention that if people, for those of you out there that are looking at him, you probably recognize him on YouTube. For the ones of you that are listening on other platforms, go over to YouTube, see him, and you'll say, "Oh my gosh, yes, it's the guy with the hair official," which is like, I mean, people can't even believe that I'm talking to him today. And I not only talked to him, we've talked for like 40 minutes. We should have recorded it because it was the best 40 minutes ever. So we're
One
gonna have to dive. We're gonna have to dive in now.
one of
Josiah,
the
we're gonna
well, it to that point, one of the biggest things I get when I'm walking around and going outside, which I'm learning how to do more and more, is people look at me and I've learned the look. They give me this look, and
Mm.
then they come up. They're like, I know you from somewhere, but I don't know. Like, how do I know you? It, like their brain is trying to figure it out, and I'm
They're trying to,
like,
yeah,
probably the internet. Yeah. So
yeah.
it's just that guy with the hair. That's yeah. And
Well,
there's a
and
whole
it's a,
story of how that came up. But yeah.
yeah, well, I'd love to hear that. But when I met you in San Diego, I'm like,
Mm,
I know him. And then
mm.
I took a picture with you, and my girlfriend said, "Oh my God, these are all the videos I send you, where he snaps and he does that. Na 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 na. Na." And then, of course, you did it live, which I'm not going to put you on the spot today to do it
Oof,
live. But if
man.
you want
Yeah.
to make something up for the people out there
Oh man.
that love you and dig your, I mean, I can't believe you did it on stages. I
Well,
mean,
I had actually, because I knew Greg enough, I
to know he
learned
was going to call
about
you
to know
out.
he
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
call me out on that shit. So I was like, so I rehearsed it like 50 times in my head, and I'm surprised I got through it somewhat. But
Oh,
yeah,
you got
I
through it
hadn't,
perfectly. And I'm like,
I
I
hadn't,
mean, you got a standing ovation. Everyone
it
jumped in
was
the street.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was wild. And, and I know enough to know that, you know, energetically that anxiety probably fed this mental health evolution, as we call it.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
into you supporting people and creating joy in their life. But let's talk about that. Let's go back to the beginning. What opened up the door to you doing these videos? And I mean, literally, I mean, when I share them, there's millions of followers and downloads and shares. And I mean, and I've shared them before I even met you. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I just loved you because I'm an energy person and I felt your energy. And I'm like, he's a keeper. I'm gonna like lasso him. And yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. No, I'm actually really excited. In the past few months, I hit a really crazy milestone of 8 million followers across all my platforms, which is like, I mean, I don't, it's hard to process that. So, um, yeah, I mean, I remember the night, try to make it quick. It was November, I think 22nd or 23rd of 2020. The pandemic's going on.
Yeah.
I had just gotten home from my retail management job, which I was just at the end of my rope with that job. And
Yeah.
like, and because I did retail, all through my 20s and, for 10, 13 years. And I came home and I saw there was a tune that I still use. I mean, I'm not clever enough to do the melody, but the lyrics I always liked writing. I was in bands. I'm a drummer at heart, but I
Yeah.
always like writing lyrics. So there was a that tune was like a big trend at that time. And so I was like, you know what? And I saw someone, they had written about retail and begrudging it, and waxing poetic almost about, retail and all that. I was like, I could do that. So I wrote my own retail song, just kind of like talking about my
Yeah.
frustrations and whatever. Went to bed,
Yeah.
posted it. No, no one gave a shit what I said back then. And then I woke up the next morning with millions of views. And fast forward, I got that one up to like 3 million followers in like a couple months, and then it got shut down. Then I did another one that got up to 2 million, got shut down. And those were
Yeah.
some of like the darkest, like, talk about mental health. But it paved the way for what I do now, because I really started focusing. You talked about evolution. Like, my
Mm.
evolution, part of it mentally was going from, oh, what can I do that I think people want to hear, to just kind of like, you know what, this is what I care about, and what I think that the everyday person, because I'm an everyday person, I don't see myself as anyone more or less than the everyday person. And I think this is what we all on a human level experience. The little things to, hey, let me just encourage you to smile today. Or, hey, there was a song I wrote about a month ago because I was in a really dark place, like, about just, these are my grievances. Fuck this, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that, and fuck that. And like, I literally
Yeah.
just put it to that tune and put it out there, and I got a lot of messages like, hey,
Yeah.
that resonates with me. And you know what I
Is that
mean?
why you were
So
shut down on the first and second with just too many fucks, or was it?
yeah, there's a lot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so when you see my content and you can see what I post just about every day, it really goes to, a lot of the time, about
Yeah.
80% of the time, it's to my mental state and where I'm at, like, at that on that day. So it's kind of like real time, a check-in, you know what I
And
mean?
and that's what I
So
love about that. I think that it not only helps you process and evolve, but you
it's
share,
very
you
cathartic. Yeah.
connect, very cathartic. And not to
Mhm.
mention, if millions of people are resonating, it means that we're all connected. We're all in this
Yeah.
together. I'm always saying
100%.
there's no upmanship. We all are at this level of processing. We may look, I mean, this is why social media, I've had a serious problem this year. I've had a serious problem with people showing up, and I want to call them out and say, that's not effing true.
Hmm.
That is not where you are. I
Hmm.
energetically know it. Can you not just show up and be authentic and share where you are?
Call
Because
it
that will help.
peacocking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that will help people evolve. But that upmanship doesn't do
Hmm.
anything.
Hmm.
And,
And it not only is toxic to the people watching it, because they take that in, they have this false perception of you, but
yeah,
also to yourself in the long run. I mean, that's just not sustainable. And I figured
yeah,
that out. A lot of the things that I learned the hard way, to my own detriment, because I was
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah. Get that one. I get that
Yeah.
one a little bit. So you start this, you're out there on social media, and you're evolving, you're getting, I mean, let's
Mm.
face it, you've gone viral a zillion times. What keeps you going and connected to this?
I think because at that time, almost unironically, I was looking and searching for purpose. I actually have a tattoo that I got a couple years later, a couple years ago. So in between, um, it's a little bit existentialist, a little bit nihilist, but I think it's a beautiful concept. Is that there is no value outside of what we do not create, and
Oh,
like, we
oh,
create value and purpose. And if I always say, there are about 8.3 billion people on the planet right now. If we were to all, not, it sounds weird and a little bit gruesome to say just drop dead, but like, if we were to all not exist, as we all will individually at some point, at one time, the universe would continue on. Like, the
yeah,
universe would continue. It's uncaring, it's blind, it's you know
yeah,
our perception and what we create individually and collectively is the value that we have. So at that time, I was looking for that value. I hadn't found it yet. I was doing music. I was, doing tours and playing with some of my heroes, which was incredible time for my life. But I was also like really stressed out and burnt out from work and like all that stuff. And I was lost, to be honest with you. And so
yeah,
that really that gave me purpose. And I think that that's what keeps me. When I wake up every morning, I look out my window and I say, you know what, it's a good day to be alive, no matter what. I have breath in my lungs. Okay, let's do this. You know what I mean? And I'm just finding myself in that way right now. And the fact that I get to wake up and go from my bedroom to my living room, start writing in the morning as I look out at life happening. And then I get to go to my kitchen and record a video. And then that's how I'm able to sustain myself is wild to me, A, and B, just the most fulfilling and surreal thing I've ever experienced.
I'm not going to compare my success with yours. I mean, it's just a whole different thing. But I'm going to tell you, we had 40 minutes of conversation before we started taping,
Hmm.
and there were so many things you said that I say and synergies. And I mean, I always look for signs, and it's remarkable. I look at you as kind of an old soul too. You are
Yeah.
really evolved, extraordinarily intelligent, whom you quoted effortlessly resonated with me. But
Mm,
I love that you incorporate this, I mean, even when you said, I'm going to be a student of the universe forever.
mm,
And I'm like, and I say that all the time. I say it on set. I
100%.
just said it yesterday. And I look at that and I'm like shaking my head, like, what's happening here? Sometimes when there's so much, it's like, it's so connected and it's so aligned. It's almost like do 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 do. And
Yeah.
yeah, people are gonna like, oh, did
Exactly.
she just do that do 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 thing? Yeah, you bet
A
I did.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Hell
bet
yeah.
I did. And but
Yeah.
yeah. So tell me, all the things that you've done and what's brought you here, what lights you up now? What keeps you going and doing this?
Mm. I would say the one of the main things is the messages that I get on the daily. And this isn't just in a vacuum or like a myopic sense of like, okay, well, there's one or two, it's a one-off thing every once in a while. I'm telling you, like
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point where like I stop because I would spend all my time reading messages and letting them
Yeah.
dictate my
Like
emotions.
the ebb and flow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All
But
that external validation can be very mind epic.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But like, yeah, right, right. And that's a whole nother thing. But I think that really like it's those little quiet messages that I really look for that I get from people that, there's maybe a single mother in Sweden or someone in Latvia or someone in,
Yeah.
Germany or Mexico or whatever that are just like, hey, sometimes their English isn't that great. They're like, I know that's broken, but hey, you helped me through X, Y, and Z in this little moment in my life. And like that just, I mean, it's profound what that does to me. And whenever I need a sense of kind of a boost of reassurance of why I do this, it's like I'll just go into my inboxes and it doesn't take me fucking long at all to find
Yeah.
a message from someone like that. And
Yeah.
it just makes me happy. And it fulfills me. So yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I mean, we were in a room together of a lot of powerful people, but I was
Mm,
having a moment of disconnect and just feeling wonky.
hmm.
And you show in. You just show up and you go up there and you switch to everything for me. It just,
Oh.
yeah, whether you practiced it or wrote it, but it spoke to me and it said, you got this.
Mm,
I think that there's all kinds of things that can go on when we're in big rooms with a lot of
yeah.
energy and I was feeling depleted and
Hmm.
disconnected and I'm like I
Hmm.
don't know what's happening. I'm so in my power usually and felt a little powerless and for those of the people that are out there that say, "Oh, you're always in your power. You walk in with all that energy." I didn't feel
Hmm.
it. And then I
Hmm.
found you and I'm like I beelined it to you and like you were like in a corner trying to hide. And I'm
That's
like,
where I was for 3 days.
yeah. And then I found
Yeah.
you. And then the minute I found you, other people found you. But I just
Yeah.
knew. But I didn't share that with you at the time. We didn't have time. And it was like
Yeah.
so much
Well, I
camera things are
appreciate
going
that.
off. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it did. It shifted my trajectory from that moment forth. I dropped into a different level of simplicity. I always say, keep it simple, pull
Hmm.
it back. And I was complicating it and I was overthinking. And all of a sudden I kept it simple again because you did your little, and even you even snapped and I'm out there snapping away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and when, yeah,
Yeah.
which
That's the
I was,
drummer in me, like keeping time and shit,
but
Like,
I
yeah.
always love to snap. People are like, why are you snapping? I'm like, it just keeps me on point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something about
Exactly.
it just makes me feel like
Hmm.
I'm connecting.
Inner
Um,
metronome. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, how did your journey with mental health find you like where you are today?
Um, well, it kind of slapped me in the face because growing up, I not for this to be a couch session or anything, but like
Oh,
growing
let's let
up,
it be a couch session because God that knows those are the best kind.
for sure. Growing up, I grew in a very like conservative religious family, and I love my family to this day. Like I'm good with them. I love
Good.
them, and especially my mom. Super. I mean, she was just here. Like I love my mom to death, and but I grew up in a very like religious conservative family, and it, in the households that I grew up in, it was very much suppress, don't express. I didn't know what I was feeling, and I
Mm.
wasn't allowed to explore it. And so going even into adulthood in my 20s, I was wilding out and just doing gigs and just, as I said earlier and alluded to, I was lost.
Yeah.
And so I think around the age when I turned about 29, 30 years old, there was a shift in me, and I started questioning things, and I started figuring out like and started exploring from people who are a lot smarter than me. That's why I reference people like Christopher Hitchens or you know Dawkins, or there's a man named Matt Dillahunty who's a logician who just blows my mind to this day. And just really like started like introspectively thinking about like why I believe what I believe in, and do I have justification for it? And so I don't know, like it took a long time, and I went into that was also around the time when I was started with this social media thing. So it was like a really weird pivotal paradigm shift about 6 or 7 years ago. And so the the marriage between finding and being able to express myself and to look into how I was feeling, and then with the social media thing happening, uh, very quickly, just kind of like I don't know, it made me kind of realize like what I was doing and where I wanted to go, and I'm still learning, as I said.
What do you want? I didn't anticipate asking this. What do you want out of it? I mean, is there something you want out of it? I mean, I know that you said those messages rock your world, but I can see the expansion and the building. And
I,
where do you feel
I'm
the deepest connection to that?
I'm getting it, to be honest with you, Dana. Like
Mm,
I'm getting it every day. What I want,
mm,
so people, I think looking to the future, it's great, but I've never been one for like I have this plan, 5 year plan, a 10 year plan.
yeah,
I've never been that person. As I said when we were
yeah,
off air, like I dropped out of college just because I didn't have that vision of like, oh well, then what's next, and then what's next. And we have this what's next mentality, which works for a lot of people, and I realize that I might be in the proverbial minority with that, but like I don't
mhm.
know. For me, it's more about like waking up like I do every day and being like, okay, let's tackle this. And it's more incremental for me. And maybe that's not a good thing. And maybe I need to realign and readjust. But
Ooh, no, I think
yeah.
that the simplicity of that and the fire that I mean, even being the Scorpio, there's got to be passion for you. If it doesn't connect with you,
Mhm.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter to you. It's got to
Yep.
connect, it's got to mean something. So I love that you figured that out. And you figured it out at a young age. I mean, I know people in their 50s or late 40s, 50s,
Mhm.
60s, 70s. I coach people in
Mhm.
their 80s that
Yeah.
haven't figured
And
out.
it's never too late. It's never too late. Until
Never
our
too
final
late.
breath, it's never too late. I always say, like, life
Yeah.
is a vacation from non existence. And so we didn't exist for eons and eons before. We didn't care. We won't exist for eons and eons in the future. We have this
Yeah.
little few decades, maybe, to just
Mm.
exist. And until that time ends, it's never too late to learn and to grow and to love and do all the things that we can do.
Oh, love that. I love that. What is the biggest thing that scares you about all this right now?
So I think it's the reality checks that I get when I do go outside, and I meet people and I'm on the street, and people come up to me because when I was walking around with family, or whatever, or when I was at this music festival recently, like a bunch
Yeah.
of people came up to me and is like, I'm there for my heroes, the people. I mean, I'm thankful enough to hang out with this band called Framing Hanley, and I grew up with them, and I'm friends with them now, and they invited me to hang out with them at this festival, and and I'm there for
Yeah.
them. I'm there for people that I look up to, and musically as a musician growing up,
Right.
and it's wild to that scares me when people come up to me and the initial is like fear and just shut down, like, and being like, oh, because I don't think about that. I'm not like walking around being like, oh, I have this many followers and this is this. I'm just like the same person I was 10 years ago. And so
Except for
that,
you're like incredibly recognizable. I recognized you, and I don't. And I mean, and that's just from like, do I know him? Yes,
yeah, that's, yeah,
that cannot be him. The little jazzy
yeah,
little things that
yeah,
I send to everyone that is, I like, here's your have a better day.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, look, I mean, look at not just the millions of downloads, but God, it's got to feel good to know that people are sharing this to make sure someone has a better day, that they're seen, they're heard, they're connected, they feel loved, and that you just came up and you spent the morning writing a song and rocking it out in a simple way that people get to share, and it's so expansive. Does that blow your mind?
It feels good. So not on and like years ago when it first started happening, when I was going viral consistently, and like I of course I would it was such a toxic thing. I would spend hours on my phone refreshing and looking at the numbers and seeing the because I have kind of
Well,
an
that's
analytic mind.
normal. That's
Yeah, it's
normal.
normal because I didn't know what I had. I'd never had that before. And so now it's kind of evolved into I could care less about the numbers. I don't give a fuck. When brands come up to me, they're like, "What's your analytics?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know. Like, I can go check, but I don't know." And like, I don't have like a
Yeah.
kid or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm more just it's not the metrics, it's the message for me. And so it's really just
Oh.
about like how I can affect people. And so yeah, like to your point, when you said like that, yeah, I can there could potentially be like with the recent Mother's Day song I had, collectively that had
Oh,
like 8 million
love that.
views and like
Yeah.
200,000 shares total. Like,
I
and
shared it.
that's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. Like that,
Yeah.
I can't even comprehend that. And even 5, 6 years on doing this, and like, I don't know, like, so for me though, that's like, hey, maybe even out of the hundreds of thousands, millions of people that saw it, maybe there's one person that really, really needed it, and a mom or like a kid, and it helped their relationship and their bond, and that really like that cuts me deep. Because I'm super close with my mom, and like she went through a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, so.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. You know, what's so interesting is one thing that just spoke volumes in my heart just when I saw you just expanded. It was just like totally was how authentic you were. You know, it
Mhm.
wasn't about the fame or the people or
No,
I
yeah.
didn't see any of that. I just saw someone who was so vulnerable and showing
Mhm.
up completely out of his comfort zone. This was not your jam.
Mhm. Yeah.
But you showed up. You thank goodness you knew who Greg was, who was going to call you out, and you had that ready. But you
Yes,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not easy to be in a room like that.
I had, so before October, it was just when I had moved here. And so like before all that, like I had no idea who Greg was. And like
Yeah,
but he's an
yeah,
amazing person. And the amount of
yeah.
influence in that room was just palpable. It was insane.
Oh, it was. And you know, we were talking about earlier, it's like it people's energy for me and just being born who I am, it illuminates. It's like
Mhm.
I kind of see colors and vibration. And there's some people that were incredible, but just weren't on my radar. But it doesn't mean they're
Yeah.
less credible.
Yeah,
It's
sure,
just
exactly.
we're meant to connect with who we're meant to connect with. And
Yeah.
I have so many people that are like, I want to meet him. Can you intro him? I'm like, well, I can intro, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's really selective and he's
True.
me.
And that's not a slight on anyone. And
Absolutely not. Yeah,
I
absolutely
I
not.
have another tattoo that's a barcode on my arm, and the numbers correlate to I have weird, my tattoo artist hated me. He was always like he would come up with the wildest shit, but I it correlates with each number on the barcode correlates with a letter, and it's a phrase I
Yeah.
came up with. I'm sure it's not original, but it's if it is, let it be. And that goes in conjunction with what you were just talking about. And like if something naturally is, let it be, and if it isn't, then it isn't. And there's no there's no right or wrong, or this is whatever. I don't think about the why. I just think about, is it? And then if it
Mhm.
is, just let it be.
I love that so much. And I have three daughters that have a lot of tattoos. I have
Yeah.
none. I said, if something really resonates with me and hits me, but what you
Hmm.
just said, I'm like, I might need some barcodes. I might need those. And they're going
I'm
to be
trying to
like,
get my
are
mom
you?
to get her first tattoo too. So
We were just
yeah.
walking, we were just walking in San Francisco. My daughter said, and I'm like, yeah, no, and not going to happen. But man, what you just said, I said it's going to have to hit my
Never know. Yeah.
my heart energy. And man, I
Hmm.
really, really loved that. And, maybe we all get that together because I always said maybe the three of us will get one together. But you know
There you
what's so
go.
interesting about tattoos and authenticity and life? And, my oldest daughter has a lot of fish tattoos and even a little
Mm.
can of sardines and whales. And then she marries, this is long before she
Yeah.
married a fish biologist,
Love
a
it.
marine
Marine
biologist.
biologist. Yeah.
And then it's like all these fish. And I'm like, I mean,
Love
who gets
that.
a can of sardines that roll? I mean, and who gets
Hey.
not, I mean, all of it. And I'm like, it makes perfect sense to me now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, not another fish tattoo. What, why all the fish tattoo? But it
It's
makes
that
perfect.
value, what I was talking about.
Yeah.
She created value for herself and what meant a lot to her. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and then when he showed up, I mean, it just
Yeah.
yeah,
The
the
synergy and everything.
freedom, the
Yeah.
travel, the redefining how she does life. I mean, everything just made sense. And I
Yeah.
think isn't that, we all just want things to make sense to us. We just want to feel better every day. Like if
Yeah.
I could have a little more peace, a little more grounding, if things make a little more sense to me and life is a little more easier. And I
Hmm.
think that's why you stay relevant and why you continue to have even on Mother's Day, 8 million shares is because it makes sense. It makes
Mm.
sense to be kind. It makes sense to be heart centered. It makes sense to have love and compassion. It makes sense to have forgiveness. And you not only edify that, but you illuminate that in these little jingles. I don't know. I call them this little,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like,
like, they've
and
been
then
called raps, jingles, whatever you want to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like na 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 na,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like doing it
The
all day
point
long,
is to
and
get
then
stuck in your head.
it
Yeah.
gets stuck in my head and people are like, would you stop doing that? And I'm like, well,
I
I was
know.
listening to his stuff this morning and I'm just like, I'm not jamming it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if there's so much I wanted to ask you, but I think that you're just so authentic and grounded and you've shared so much of your heart and who you are. Is there anything you want to share that I haven't asked you? I don't even know how long we've been on because I'm looking at how
Me
much time
neither.
we
Yeah.
spent prior to this and I don't even know about
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
schedule. I mean,
Well,
too
I
bad they
lose
didn't get
track
to
of
hear
time
that
all the
because man,
time.
that was some very, very, very good stuff.
Well, and
That's
I
some
think
good
that
shit. Maybe
that's,
next time. Maybe he'll
I
come
think that
back and we'll do it
that's
again.
sure. Yeah, of course. I think that's a beautiful thing too, is that it wasn't broadcast, and like those
No.
moments are just as important, just because it was between you and I think that was great. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I'm not. It's. I'm not good at this kind of thing. I'm
Oh, you're
learning.
gr- you're you're great at this kind of thing. You have an idea that you aren't great in this kind of thing, but you
True.
are. I mean, you really are. And if I look at the expansion and if I asked you what's next, even with your organic evolution of like I'm gonna allow the universe just to let it work for me and unfold, what do you want to unfold next? What do you
I think
desire?
just. I think so. I'm a pretty. Yeah, if we're talking about tattoos, and my first tattoo that I ever got, it's on my shoulder. It says, "Live simply, that others may simply live," and I think that that's really a mantra and a philosophy that I've held to, and it's stood up because,
Wow.
I mean, I want to create memories with good people that I love. I want to leave a legacy that was a positive one, no matter how small in the micro or macro that is for people or the collective. And I just want to live the rest of my life until my dying breath, knowing that I made at least a positive impact on the world instead of the toxicity that I did before, and not knowing
Mhm.
myself and not knowing others and how to relate to others. And I'm still learning every day. And just to learn, that's a big thing too. Just to experience
Wow.
more, travel more, and learn more.
Wow. I pulled some quotes from you and I pulled healing starts with honesty and your life doesn't have to look like anyone else's. And I look at your life and how you just dropped in and took ownership, which is
Mhm.
so, for people that are listening right now, I think that just taking ownership of where you are and letting that expand is magic.
Yeah,
It's magic. And if I had
yeah,
to ask
yeah.
you, what feels like love in your life right now? What feels like love?
Mm, I think learning to love myself again right now, and not in like a Machiavellianism, narcissistic way, because that's the further from the truth, but like in like a way that, because I always have this analogy, and I tell this on my live streams all the time, like take care of each other, but first and foremost, take care of yourself. Because imagine you're driving a car and there's a passenger seat next to you, but you run out of gas. You can't take that person where they need to go if you have no gas in your own tank. And so you have to, I'm learning to fill myself up, especially with this past year was really hard. Coming off the heels of
Mm.
my sister passing away
I'm so
last
sorry for
June.
that. That was hard.
And
Yeah, that,
yeah, and speaking of tattoos, it's the only matching tattoo that I ever had because she was born in November as well. And we
and
had
yeah,
a
she was, but I
matching,
think she was born on my daughter's birthday. We talked about
yes,
that.
yes,
And I
yes.
mean that
So,
the amount of synchronicities, which I don't believe in synchronicities, but I do believe in alignment, was remarkable
yeah.
on
Yeah,
what.
so coming off of that was kind of a real big turning point because I'll never, it was like that moment when I found out I was actually in San Diego the last time when I found out. And that moment will, I think, forever be frozen in time. And from that moment until this moment, almost a year later, has been the most challenging year of my life and
Yeah.
also the most like clarifying. And so I'm in this moment of just like
Mm.
learning how to get back to myself and love myself so that I can more effectively love others.
I liked what you said about self-love, and we talked earlier where I felt really guided to pull you a card, and it was surrender, and it's like using the law of sacrifice. What can you give up that's in your mind, your worry, doubt, fear? But more importantly, what I just dropped into and what I teach in my book, and which is so important that people don't get, is we are first cause and cause and effect. Everything is an effect, everything you do, but
Hmm.
we have to be first cause, which means
Hmm.
if we have to put ourselves first, and it feels so freaking selfish that when I'm like, I come first. But if we don't, we're depleted. We can't show up and write jingles. We can't show up and serve. We can't show up and deliver. I can't show up on stages because guess what? I'm depleted. I'm burnt out. And I'm like, I got nothing left in my tank.
Yep. I think that there's been an unhealthy stigmatization of the word selfishness and what it means.
Yeah.
Because, yes, there are negative connotations to it and an excessive amount of it, yes, is of course, and
Yeah.
for the wrong intention. But I think that there is a healthy amount of selfishness that we need to address and kind of get into is that, like
Absolutely.
I said, like if you can't fill yourself up, then there's no fucking way you're going to be
Yeah.
able to help others because you have
Yeah.
nothing to give to help
Yeah.
others,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
narcissism is such a trigger word. Last year it was big, and you hear all these words each year that are like trigger words, and you saw
Yeah.
narcissism everywhere, covert, all of it. And I'm like, being first cause is quite different. You
Hmm.
must honor, and maybe we can put an adjective in front, because if you're not, everything is depletion after that. It's like, well, let me just, and then we're attached to that external and not the internal world. But that
Hmm.
internal world is we must be first cause, and then everything is the ripple effect from there. And we create a beautiful world if we can keep the parameters around that, which I think I feel that's what you're doing.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're right, correct. And I think that it comes down fundamentally to intent. And so if you're looking at the first cause that you're talking about and then narcissistic disorder, the fundamental difference is intent. And so if you
Intent.
have if you have the
Yes.
first cause of like my intent, if you're leading with I'm going to think of myself and it's in everyone else as a means to my end, then that's the narcissistic side. But and I'm not a
Yeah.
psychologist, I'm not a professional. But if you go to the first cause and you say, I'm leading so that the end is others and I'm a means and a catalyst to that, then I think that's a healthy uh, selfishness and concept
I think that
thereof.
was more beautifully executed than we would have heard from a therapist. And I sometimes think that when we go through it, and man, you've been through it, and the loss
Well,
and the recovery and the space, a year isn't very much time to evolve.
Mm.
and and it was life changing what you went through, and
Hmm.
we hold space for this healing. And I don't know, I think that coming from that authentic, deep place that we pull up from inside of ourselves is much more profound than a therapist
Agreed.
pontificating some little one-liner out there. We're like, okay. I mean, what you just said was
Agreed. And
was
and well, but it,
life shifting.
and no, I mean, I'm huge on there. And like, and the thing is, it's I like this past weekend, my little sister, my other sister, she just graduated with her master's in psychotherapy. And so she is officially a therapist. And I'm so fucking proud of her and the
Oh
things that
yeah.
she's doing. She's going to help so many
Congratulations.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's
Mm.
such a needed thing. I think everyone, we were talking on the phone the other day and she was like, I think everyone needs therapy. I'm like, I completely fucking agree. So
Oh, I
yeah.
agree. I've had,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in therapy since I remember at 16 going to therapy with my mom, where we went to a therapist. It was a pastor at the time at the church. And he said, I think you guys have unreasonable expectations of each other. And I'm like, yeah, I wanted to be a friggin' mom. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, now I love and adore, and I understand the generational
Sure.
trauma, the evolution. But at the time, he gave me a book called "The Road Less Traveled" by
Mm.
Dr. Scott M. Peck, "The Road Less Traveled." And I remember the
That's
first line was "Life is difficult," and I honed
mm,
in on that, and I'm like, "You effing believe it is." And I read that book over and over again. I still have the original copy. He gave that to me, and I gobbled that book up because it was information on I wasn't aware that life is
mm,
difficult. I kept
yeah.
this illusion that, it was just going to be like valedictorian, and this and
Mhm.
that, and I should aspire, and friends should love me, and it was painful, and I was in a
Right.
lot of pain, and
Yeah.
it validated. It said, yeah, it's hard, and I'm like, it is hard. And it
Mm,
wasn't like I focused on the hardness, but it validated that it wasn't easy.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And you were talking about aspiration and what you were aspiring to, and and I guess the one of the sub themes of this talk is tattoos. Another one of my tattoos that I have on my shoulder. I have one on the back of this shoulder and one here, and it's a scale. It's like a weighted scale, right? And one of the scales says aspiration, and one of them says inspiration. And so the weighted scale of inspiration is heavier. I think it's on my left. I don't look up back here too much, but I think it's on my left shoulder that inspiration is weighed heavier because you always look to aspiration. And this goes back to what we were talking about before, so that you can inspire others. And that's weighted heavier in my view, at least.
well, then we have our left side, which is our receiving
Um,
side, our right side, which is our life force side. There are no coincidences. And being a Libra, I am big on scales, the balance of how
yeah.
we ebb and flow in the world, and where it tips the scale, and what it is we need. Josiah, I can't wait to, I'm just going to ask you, and you're going to hear it. I'm asking him to come back. This conversation we need more. I know they would love to have more of just your energy. I adore you. I adored you from the day I like converged upon you, and I think I just blurted out, I adore you. And you're like, oh my God, crazy woman, adoring.
Oh, not at all. No, I no, yeah, I felt the energy as well, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be honored. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see what you're going to evolve and do next. I can feel some big things happening. Like I said, I can't wait to
Yeah,
see you take a picture of that and say, hey, you said this, and here it is.
I sure
And
as hell will.
oh
If
yeah.
and when that happens, I sure
Oh
as hell
yeah.
will.
Hey, I was
Yeah,
walking the Camino and I said, hey, let's use, I'm going to start a podcast show. And I'm like, I don't think you're going to start a podcast show. I think you're going to do a TV show. It's going to be all over the world. And sure enough, she just, I mean,
beautiful.
she's written some huge, I mean, she's big out there. Now, I should
Yeah,
probably not call her out, but she said, hey, Dana, thank you. I held
that
the vision, it shifted, and look what I'm doing. I'm like,
love
yeah,
that for
all
her.
I can do
Yeah,
is plant the seed on the vision. You got to take it and run with it. But
yeah, as do
yeah,
we all.
yeah, as do we all. Josiah,
Hmm. Been an
Josiah.
honor. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I adore you. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for just being so heart-centered. And this is a heart-centered podcast where I really want to
Love
pull the
that.
curtain back and really have this raw connection. And you just exceeded my
Hey,
expectations.
the pleasure is mine, the honor is mine, and I appreciate it. I like these moments, and it's valuable. So yeah, thank you.
Well, for everyone that's joined the Dana Grant Show today, I hope you download this and listen to it again. It has nuggets all over the place, and send us messages to have Josiah back. And until next time, thank you for joining us today.
As well. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.